Hello all, welcome to another endgame study of the Solving Other Studies to Improve Chess Calculation series. Another composition from Vladimir Bron, it's white to play and to draw. As always, for the best practice, I suggest you watch the guide if you haven't. The 10-minute countdown will start. You can pause if you need more time, or you can jump directly to the end. And after that, I will start with the guided solution. And let's go to look at the solution. And of course, over here we need to analyze the position, which is not that hard. We are playing for a draw because we have two rook over the place. So we have a pair of rooks, but in the other side there are three light pieces and especially a very dangerous pawn that will promote for a queen for sure. It's impossible to stop it. And then we need to sacrifice one rook. Otherwise, if we move the king, it's just going to be checkmate in one from black. So we don't want to deal with that for sure. And besides that, if we are aware that we are going to need to sacrifice one rook for the pawn, that it's more or less a fact over here, we are going to remain with a rook fighting against three light pieces. And if you don't are aware of it, it's going to be a defeat. So three light pieces, a bishop pair and the knight beats the rook. So after we need to sacrifice the rook for the pawn, we not only need to do that, but we need to grab one of black light pieces. Otherwise, we are just going to face a defeat with more or less trouble from black. And the correct move over here, well, we have three candidate moves. Either we go with one rook or the other against the pawn, and you may think, okay, over here, is this a flip coin? Because I have presented endgame studies that were more or less based on the detail of which piece to move first. And the other candidate move is, of course, the forcing check with rook a6. And a bit of spoiler on the beginning, which is normal. We are just going after the solution. The correct one is to go for the check with rook a6. But before going deep with that one, let's see the other options of going directly for the pawn, why they don't work. Let's go with one rook. I will use both. And over here, of course, black promotes. It's check. If the king moves, it's going to be checkmate. We don't want that. So the sacrifice of the rook is forced. So we are going more or less to be facing this position a lot of times with two pieces down on the first rank and also two pieces on the f file. Of course, if the rook goes to the first rank to attack both pieces, well, black just has bishop b4 to protect the knight and keeping the three light pieces, which is a win for black. And if white goes to the f file to fork the two bishops, of course, over here, black can remove one bishop with a check, and after the king moves, move the other bishop away. All black pieces are already safe, so we are not going to save this one. It's going to be black for a win. Of course, over here, white can try some other things like disturbing the knight, so to remove the option of the bishop checking the king after the knight removes. But not only this doesn't work, because if the knight removes, it will also control the fork, although not the best idea, of course, because we have a check and the king moves, and on the other side is the rook. Of course, if it was the other rook, it's going to be a bit different, but okay. We already saw one variation. Let's see the others with the other rook. So the idea is simple. The black just always forces the sacrifice of the rook, getting this position as we saw, but now we have a different rook over the board. So let's look at the same ideas. Let's see if we attack the pieces down on the first rank. Well, we already know that the bishop may come. Even if the king approach one bishop, the bishop can go out. It can go also to d3. The conclusion is easy. Black will keep the three pieces, and it's not possible for us to save the game anymore. Of course, this was going through the first rank. We can also try to go to the fork directly of the two bishops, but we already talked about this. The bishop get out with a check, forcing the king to move, and then we have time to remove the other bishop, which is the same thing. We are going to end with a draw. Of course, now let's look at the other possibility, which is to attack the knight first. We have now the rook in a better position than before. So it's black to play, and it's the first moment we are going to stop for you to think a bit more. It's a 1 minute countdown. Pause if you need more, of course. It's black to play and to win. There is only one move over here for black to go on for the win they desire. And let's see what's going on for black over here. Of course, it looks simple and we can think, okay, let's go with the bishop check, so the king moves, and now the bishop comes to rescue the knight, but because we are not losing the rook yet, we can go with the rook, grabbing the knight, so the bishop takes our rook, but in the end we also grab one of the bishops, and of course, black with just one bishop isn't able to win this one. So going with the bishop doesn't work, and also releasing the knight also doesn't work, because then we get the simple fork. Notice that it's different. It's not the rook on the other side where we could even try this one. So here we have a clear fork over the bishop, so even the bishop moves anywhere, now we get a different situation, and it's going to be a draw. So black also needs to be very precise, but of course not that hard. Black needs to go with the bishop protecting the knight, and there's no way for us to force anymore. The pieces are getting out, and of course, from here, it's just black that it's going to win. Okay, let's go to the first position, to the starting position. We already learned a lot about this one, so let's go with the main line. So we first check the king. Of course, if the king goes to b2, this just makes our life easier. We just check the king moves, and then we grab the pawn. And of course, with two rooks over the board, it's going to be different. It's going to be a draw, and or we blunder. But of course, with precise moves that we are searching while solving this one, it's just going to be a draw. So the king doesn't goes to b2, of course, goes to b3. Okay, so over here we need to check it again, of course, because if we try to go to the pawn, it will be just the same idea. Notice that now black already understands how to defend and how to keep the three pieces to go for a win. So not the correct option. So we need to go with another check. Uh, Here, going back, it's just going to repeat. And because we are just playing for a draw, we are happy with that. So, and trying to escape with the king to c2, not enough, because now we can go after the pawn, and when the pawn promotes, we have this fork, because after the check, the king moves. But in the end, we are going to be able to check the king and grab the bishop. So we are going to get this position where black just keeps one bishop over the board. So black also needs to go with the forced move, which is to go with king c3. Again, another minute for you. It's white to play. What is the correct continuation? Not hard, but please try to be precise. And yes, there's not something special about the position. Now it's the moment to go with the rook f4. There is no trick over here, don't worry. So now black promotes the pawn, of course. We grab the pawn, the bishop goes and takes the rook. And again, another minute. Now it's a bit harder, not the hardest one, of course, but a bit harder. It's white to play. And what is the correct approach for white in this position? And we already know that we have three options. Either we attack the pieces on the first rank, or we attack it on the F file, or we attack the knight. So the question is, which one is the right one? Let's see one by one. Let's go with the rook attacking the bishops directly. Well, the bishop just checks our king, so one bishop is controlled, and then the bishop comes out, and what else can we do? It's not possible anymore to escape. And of course, over here, black is already controlling the position, keeping the three light pieces and going for a win from here. So this one was not the solution. Let's look at the other one. Let's look where it happens on the first rank, and we already know by exclusion of candidate moves that this is not the one. The one it will be to go with rook e6, but before that, let's see what happens. Well, over here, as you see, very easy for black to keep the three pieces. So the correct move is to go attack the knight again. So now it's black to play, and of course black has more than one options, but removing the knight just allows the fork directly to the bishop, so that is not a big deal to find a solution. But more hard is to go with the king protecting the knight. Now, of course, we are going to use the fork, and the bishop checks the king moves. Of course, going to f1 doesn't work because we are just going to be checked, and as you can see, the pieces are released, and so black keeps for the win. So to make it harder for black, we need to go to h2, of course, king h2, which is also, I think, the most natural. And now black to play finds this very interesting idea. And so it's the last moment for us, the final minute. What is the only way for white to now guarantee a draw in this position? And let's go for the final brilliant move. What a way to finish this one. We are going to sacrifice our rook. It's check, double exclamation mark. If the king moves away, we just grab two pieces for the rook, which is enough for a draw. Of course, black with just one bishop can't go for a win, of course. And if the black bishops accepts our rook, of course, it's a stalemate. Notice that the knight is protecting the bishop, and both bishops are cutting the king from moving more. It's not check, so we get a stalemate draw in the end. After all, we were not searching to grab one of black pieces, we are able to find a stalemate draw. Hope you have enjoyed this one. From the beginning, it was not that easy to see all the continuations, but very entertainment, I think. And as always, I hope to catch you with future videos. So bye bye and keep checking.